So this is how it happened. I was pouring myself a cup of coffee and thumbing through a magazine that was on the kitchen countertop. I was thinking about what I was going to write in my journal later in the morning, when suddenly an idea came into my head. And it was one of those ideas that I knew I was going to have to try. One of those that's like, what if I try this? Would it work? Well, it did, and I'm going to share that with you today. In Big Magic, Elizabeth Gilbert talks about ideas. In one of her chapters, she mentions specifically about how ideas are free-floating in the universe. They come and go through people, and if you don't do something with the idea, it will move on to the next person. I really like that concept, and I think that's what happened with this idea for the next magazine journal, and I want to share that with you today. So this is my journal that I use on a regular basis. I show you flips every week, and this is the weekly part where I actually do the writing in it. And then on the 6/6 concept, I use this side as an art journal. Well, this is what I've been struggling with. Because the size is so big, it almost paralyzes me. I don't know what to put on the page, and I get stuck, and I don't have any fun working in this part of the journal, and that's not what I want. So the idea came to me when I was drinking that cup of coffee. What if I take a magazine journal and I turn it into a traveler's notebook like this? And that's exactly what I did. So I had to play around with the idea for a little bit, but I came up with the concept that works beautifully, and I'm having a ton of fun working in this. I used the Jane Davenport paper pad to make the cover and the back cover, this particular paper pad. And so that's what's on the front here, and then this is the back. And when you go inside, I have a pocket, and I don't even know what I'm going to put in that pocket yet, but I'll figure out something. So there's a pocket there, and then I just started using graphics that I love. And one of the reasons, when I made this traveler's notebook, I had not a clue what I was going to do with it, but I knew I had to make it. And I have a lot of images that wouldn't necessarily fit in my everyday journal, but that I love and I want to look at. I don't want to keep them in my drawer. I want to see them. So I thought what I'll do is take those images and put them in here. And so this is one of those images. And while this is probably not a true art journal, for me it is. It's a collage glue book kind of thing. And that's what I like to do. I don't really like to use wet medium. I really tend to prefer dry. So distress stains, distress ink, colored pencils, those kind of things. And that's what I'm doing on here. I will do probably some writing and some doodling, but for the most part, I think it's just going to be images and just things that I love. So in about an hour's time, I had done 3 pages, and I just thought, I've got to turn the camera on and show you guys how to make this. So here's my first page, and then this is my second and third, and just stuff. There's a flip here, and I did some distress ink in the background here. I used 2 stencils, Tim Holtz and a Diane Reevely stencil, just so I didn't have a white page. And on this one I used gridded paper, the one that I had given away for free. That's what's on here. And then this was just plain white copy paper. And because I have so much scrapbook paper, I'm going to be using that as well. So both of these are scrapbook paper. And I don't care that this is down here at the bottom. It's fine with me. I'm going to incorporate it into my journal. And then you can see here where I have the actual magazine pages. And I'm going to do a process video in just a moment and show you how to do this. Now, I put washi tape here and here, just like I did in my everyday journal. And the reason I did it is I like the color. I love the way it looks when the book is closed, like this, and you see that colorful spread. So I did it in here, but because of the way that this is made, you really don't have to. Your pages are folded, and you have a nice bound edge here that's pretty sturdy. And then, of course, the center is as sturdy because you're going to reinforce it just like you did your magazine journal. But I do think that putting washi tape down the center gives you a little bit more security and reinforcement. On the back, I just put another sheet of the paper from the paper pad, which I like, but I didn't make it a pocket. And that's it. So let's get started with the process video, and I'll show you how to make one for yourself, and I know you're going to be excited to do it. So let's go. Okay, so to create your awesome traveler's notebook, you're going to need a couple of things. Pretty much everything that you used for the magazine journal will be sufficient. So of course you're going to need a magazine. You're going to need some type of tape, so either Tyvek, packing tape, duct tape. It's up to you, whatever you think that you might like to use. I like to use Tyvek because it's super strong, so that's what I'll be using. You're going to need a bone folder, a glue stick, a pair of scissors, and some kind of X-Acto knife. I like this because it's a snap-off blade, and so that way it's sharp all the time. And you're also going to need a ruler of some sort and a cutting mat. And the grungier the cutting mat, the better it will be. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started with this. Now, before we go too far, I want to talk to you about the magazine because this is kind of an important part. I used an Oprah magazine for this traveler's notebook. And the reason I did was the traveler's notebook measures 4 3/8 when it's finished, 4 3/8 by 8 3/8. Okay, really? I'm not going to mess with those kind of exact dimensions. So mine's 4.5 by 8.5, and it works perfectly. So what you need to make sure of is that your magazine is not so much the height that's the problem, it's the width. So you want to make sure you have sufficient width. The Oprah magazine is 9 inches, which is just perfect. And it's 11 inches tall, so that'll work just fine. Real simple, it's the same thing. It's 9 by 11, which is perfect. However, it is got a lot of pages in it, which is fine if you want a really big traveler's notebook. But if you don't, you're going to end up having to remove pages. And while that's simple, it's just something you have to think about. So the number of pages is probably going to be important to you. The Sunset magazine, as you can see, is smaller. Again, the height doesn't matter, but it's about 1/4 to 1/2 inch narrower. So that would make your pages smaller. So I wouldn't use Sunset. And then the other one is Fast Company, which I brought up here. And again, it's pretty close. It's just a little bit shy, not much. So I think it's going to be perfect. So what I thought I would do on this one is go ahead and, let's see, the Oprah magazine has 116 pages, and this one has 104, so that's like 52 pages, which is pretty nice. So I think I'll go ahead and use the Fast Company magazine. It has a nice weight paper, and it should be perfect. So let's start with that. So the first thing you want to do is cut it down to the appropriate height. And to do that, you need your cutting mat and your ruler. 2 ways you can do it. You can measure from the end, so you know that, let's see, this is 10 3/4, and I said I want it to be 8.5. So that's about 2 1/4 that I'm going to take off the edge. So I'm going to do it this way because this is an old quilting ruler that I've had, and I just love it. You can tell it's well used and well loved. And I think I will turn it this way, and I'm doing that so that I can pull across the spine. The spine is going to be the hardest part. It tends to want to really take a lot of effort. And you want to make sure that your pages are straight. And I'm going to take 2 1/4 off. And I'm just going to do a double check here. Norm Abrams always says measure twice, cut once. Okay, so that's not right. Maybe it's 2 3/4. I'm going to take off. And it is going to be 2 1/2, I think. Just shy of 2 1/2. And it's really, it's not all that important. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to actually go right there. Okay, so the big thing is securing this. You don't want your pages to slip, and you just carefully keep slicing through. Oops. Keep slicing through your pages, and patience is going to be your biggest friend here. I'm not really good about that. It helps to have a ruler that's got a very thick edge so that you can continue to push against it. I'm getting through there. I don't flip the papers up or anything. I just keep going through. And I think I'm through it here and pretty close to there. Okay, so you can see how simple that was. Honestly, the big key on this is making sure that your knife, your cutting tool is sharp. It makes all the difference in the world. And I am not going to do anything. I don't care about this. I am not going to figure out something to do with it. I am going to toss it because I got enough paper. Okay, so that's it for the cutting. Now, the next thing that we're going to do is find our center. And remember, this one was 102, so we'll go to about 50 page. Uh-oh, you know what I did? I cut the page numbers off. That's okay. Let's just kind of estimate halfway. It's not a big deal. See if that looks pretty good. All you're really trying to do is just secure this. So again, just as we did in the magazine journal, you need to make sure this is really open. This is probably one of the more important things that you need to do in prepping your book. So again, just make sure that's good and open and press it down. Okay, take your Tyvek and you're just going to run a piece of tape across the center. Center it as best you can, like that. Sometimes I cut my tape to length before I go in here. You can always go back and clean that up. It's not a problem to do that after the fact. Okay, and then I'm just going to burnish it. Go right in the center there. Make sure that's good and open, and then burnish your tape down. And I close my book and make sure that that's good and just... Okay, so the next thing I want to do is run a piece of tape across the spine. And I want to do that to make sure that that spine is reinforced. Again, you just about halfway so that it wraps around that spine. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. And then cut that off. And then here's a little tip. When you go, and even when you on your washi, when you use your washi tape on your edges, here's a good tip. Go from the center and pull it, and then go out to either side and smooth it down. Okay. Then I just really want to burnish it. Burnish your spine, and there you go. So there's that. And then I'm going to come back and clean that up there in the center. And you need to put one in the center excuse me, the first page and the last page to make sure that it's good and reinforced. So I'm going to put one here. Again, just span the difference. And I won't do one on the other side. And if you have if you get a little bubble or something in it or a wrinkle, don't worry about it. You're going to end up covering it anyway. So again, go down there, flip this over, and just like that. So now you have a spine that's pretty well reinforced, and you're going to do here, and then don't forget to put one back here before you get too far. Okay, that looks good. So what I did on my cover was I wanted to have a pocket. So what you do, remember here's your center spine. You're going to fold just shy of that spine, just shy, and crease it well. You really want to make sure you have a good crease on this as you're doing it. And there's your cover. Now to make my pocket, what I did was I just cut this off here. I decided how deep I wanted to have my pocket. So in this case you can see that I cut off probably about 1 inch and then put a thumb hole. And I also cut off the edges here because they were sharp. So I just whacked them off there so it wasn't quite so sharp. So that's all you do with your pocket. If you decide you want one, decide how wide you want this to be and cut off the rest, and then glue it down here and here. And if you don't want a pocket, you just want this, then go ahead and just glue this down. So it'll be like that. Okay, as far as making the Traveler's Notebook pages, here's what you do. Again, you're going to fold and you're going to go right to that center. You're going to be about a 1/16 inch shy of the actual center fold. And use your edges to keep yourself square. So you want to line them up to the pages. And what you really want to do is make sure that this is burnished well. And then you take your glue stick. It took me 2 glue sticks to go through my magazine. So you want to go like that, just get plenty of glue, and then what you want to do is let this fall. Don't try and push it, just let it fall down, go like that, and then go to the center. Burnish it well, and move on to the next page. And the reason why you want to make sure that you don't go over that center is it will make it very difficult to turn your pages. You will have a problem. So again, fold right to that, about a 1/16 inch shy, burnish it well, glue. I get glue on the fold, I go all the way to the edges. But you sure don't have to be exact. Okay, let it fall and push to the center. Well, hello, like that. Okay, I'll do one more to the center. Again, I'm lining up my corners to the edges to make sure I stay square. Glue. That. Another key to when you're doing this is don't look at your pages. You could get you can look at them and go, oh, I should have read that article. Oh my gosh, that would be a great graphic. I should cut that out. You'll be there forever. So just fold and go. Okay, now when I made my book, when I got to the center, So these pages, right now we're working this way. When I got to the center, I went this way. And I don't know if that made a difference or not. I think you could go either way. Just continue when you get to the center, continue folding this way. I don't think it's really going to matter. So that's totally up to you how you'd like to do that. And then when you can see how this is going to look. See how nice that is? And then your back, you do the same way. You just fold this in and glue that down. If you want a pocket, do it the same way as I showed you on the front. And there you go. So that's the start of the Traveler's Journal, or the Traveler's Notebook, magazine edition. And now all you have to do is decide what you want to do on your covers. And I've shown you before how to do covers. I did the same thing on here. I put my paper down, and then I used the Liquitex varnish and gloss, and then wax. And it gave it that really nice feeling. And on the back here, this is actually a Jane Davenport napkin. And I just cut that out and decoupage that on there. And also I had a little stamp here, a little clear stamp, and put that on there. And then I went over with the decoupage medium, and that worked out great. So that's it. I hope you guys give this a try and have some fun with it. It's so freeing to have a smaller space. And I know many of you are already using Traveler's Notebooks. What I like about this, it's self-contained. It's going to hold itself. I don't have to have a Midori to cover it or a faux dory. I can just use this, and that's my book to go. So it's going to be fun to watch how this fattens up throughout the year. And I will be sharing with you when I do my flips of my regular journal. I will also show you this. So I think that's all. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you on the next video. Bye for now.